What is the Nintendo Powercast, episode 364? I'm your host, N64, Josh Crawler. What's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going? Crawler coming at you.
And player 3, Johnny Bo, what's happening?
What's going on, everyone? No, I'm feeling really good. I took a nap today. I don't normally get to do that. But then after that, bought some digital games because physical games suck.
Wait, let's get your hot take. Go ahead and get your go. Tell us about physical games.
Physical games suck.
All right, and Cheesy's out sick. So make sure everybody tweet at Johnny Bo. Feel better soon. I mean Cheesy. Yeah. So, but yeah, the real there's an imposter among us right now.
It sucks that Cheesy couldn't be here, but that's going to give me more time to talk because he normally is taken up all the time.
That's very true.
Here, emergency. We have an imposter.
We definitely have an imposter. I thought Cheesy dressed up like a Splatoon character. I saw a hat and headphones and a Splatoon shirt, and I was like, "Yo, are you going for full perfect gear on this one? What's the deal here?" But no, he's actually Johnny Bo. So, yeah, but yeah, Johnny Bo not feeling well. Send him some nice tweets. Tell him you miss him, and a couple things before we get started. First, Smash Bros tournament happening this weekend. You got to sign up, n64josh.com/smash. Sponsor of this month's tournament is PokemonStoreUSA.com, where you can get some killer Pokemon stuff. A lot of it's imported, maybe not stuff you find in the US. You can go find there. So that's PokemonStoreUSA.com. Go check that out. Again, the sponsor for the N64 Josh monthly Smash. So make sure to sign up. It's $100 for first place. $100 for first place. So go sign up for that. Links to the Discord down below. n64josh.com/discord. Come hang out. We got lots of good people in there. If you're playing Smash, if you're playing Mario Kart with me, come hang out. Find out when I go live. All that stuff. With that, Crawler, where can people connect with you if they want to?
Hanging out in the Discord, n64josh.com/discord, or just now that it's fancy. What's the fancy one?
I think we lost 3 boosts, so there's no more fancy one.
So n64josh.com/discord will get you there. Also on Twitter, Nightcrawler724, Nightcrawlers without the E, and same with TikTok.
That's right. Yeah. It's happening. And I don't know if I should call you Johnny or Cheesy, but where can we find you?
You can find me, Johnny Bo, everywhere. Twitter, Titter? I don't know. TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Actually, I'm taking a break from Twitch. Actually, I just decided I'm going to be back on Twitch, so you'll see me on there. Farmers only. Yeah.
And follow that Cheesy guy too. He's pretty good.
Yeah. I love how he's just staring into space the whole time. Like we only make eye contact when there's a hot take. So, it's
here,
good.
I'll move down here and we'll get Johnny over here so you guys can get the Kirby kiss going again.
Am I facing the right way? Oh my gosh, amazing. Guys, you can connect with me everywhere at N64Josh. We're doing Mario Kart at 4 p.m. Pacific on TikTok if you guys want to come get some races, and then Twitch and YouTube at 6 p.m. Pacific if you want to race over there. That's Monday through Friday. So, and the Smash Bros. Tournament is this Saturday. So if you guys want to come hang out for the tournament and see some high-level Smash gameplay, check that out. We've also, Crawler and I recorded an episode of Smash Bros. Cast. That went out today. If you guys want to check that out. I haven't got it up on YouTube yet, but it is out in audio, which was a fun episode. And we're going to start documenting our journey to Big House, which is going to be a really good time. I'm looking forward to that. So, A few other plugs real quick. You can check out the Bendu podcast if you're into Star Wars, and the Halo Infinite podcast as well if you're into Halo at all. And you'll find Crawler and I on all those places, and
We are there.
places, and Mulehorn 117 as well. So, but yeah, looking at this week, like we were going through news, and it's like looking at sites like Nintendo Life, they're writing about what possible Hollywood actor is going to be voicing the next villain in Sonic 3 movie. Like it is
It's going to be Chris Pratt.
It could be. Yeah, probably.
Calling it right now. Chris Pratt as Shadow.
You willing to bet about it?
I'm smelling a bet right now. I'm smelling a bet.
You've never lost a bet, have you?
I've never lost a bet. I'm 2-0, baby. I'm 2-0. John Evo never loses.
Okay, all right. So Chris Pratt is Shadow. Well, is
I'm
it
looking
one
forward
challenge
to the
or...
comments in our private little chat tomorrow after Johnny has to listen to this.
It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be fantastic. Yeah. So kind of a slow week, but I did stumble across some stuff from Reggie. Reggie was on a podcast recently. We're talking about the ex president of NOA, and he had some things to say about the Switch's successor. And so I thought it would be kind of cool to take a look at some of the things he said, and then we can discuss ourselves, like what we think about what he's saying, because it is. I'm looking at the article here from Nintendo Life, and like the Wii U, for example, tripped over the Wii's success, right? Like it wasn't great. And really, if you watch Nintendo, other than the handheld stuff, most of their consoles kind of trended downward until the Wii, and then shot back up. So,
well, competition grew in the marketplace as well.
Exactly. Yes. It very much did. So this is from Reggie, talking. I'll just read a little bit of the article here. It says, when responding to the question, what is it that Nintendo can do to capitalize on the Switch? Reggie brought up how few and far between the transition from one successful console generation to the next successful one have been very difficult, singling out two particular jumps. So here we go. First, this is from Reggie. It says, first, I think it's important in looking at the overall history of this industry and recognize how rare it is for a company to move from one successful platform to the next. As I think about it, I can only point to two examples that this has been done over the last 30 years. Sony moving from the original PlayStation to the PlayStation 2 from strength to strength. The other example I would point to is Nintendo moving from the Game Boy Advance generation to the Nintendo DS generation. So let's acknowledge that moving from one successful platform to the next is incredibly difficult and challenging to do.
Well, and there's two big factors for why those two systems were successful jumps. PlayStation 2 was a DVD player. That was its success baked into it. Like it was the cheapest DVD player around. Same with, I mean, arguably PS3 was expensive, but it was a cheaper quote unquote Blu-ray player. I mean, that's what got me in the door.
I bought it.
One. Yeah. Because DVD or Blu-ray players at that point were $1,000 and the PlayStation was $600. So I mean, it was worthwhile for that. But PlayStation 3 was not a successful launch, but the PlayStation 2 very much so was. The game, like, it's interesting that Game Boy and Game Boy Advance did he group both of those together to the DS?
He did, yes.
I mean, that's a big generation spread for. I mean, I guess the way you're able to caveat that is Game Boy Advance played Game Boy games. The SP, did the SP play OG Game Boy games?
Yeah.
It did. It just stuck out the bottom, kind of weird.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I need to get an SP. That's one thing I don't like. I have my Indigo.
Talk to me later. I have lots of extra.
I know. I have the Indigo.
There's what it looked like.
Okay, yeah. So it's in your way, but it's there. It's playable.
It's Turtles 3 Radical Rescue. That's what's in there.
But I mean, but then move into the DS. If you're grouping all of that together, that's first off a big generation, and then moving to the DS, which the original DS had a Game Boy Advance slot in it, so you could continue playing your Game Boy Advance games, which I think is crucial for the Switch moving forward. Whatever it does, needs to have a slot for the Switch cartridge to be able to go, regardless whatever kind of medium they go to. If they stick with cartridges or if they go somewhere else, it needs to have backwards compatibility with that Switch cartridge slot, so that the 100 million plus people that have a Switch can still play their games on whatever new system. That encourages the Switch. It didn't work for the Wii U necessarily, but that's, I think, mainly due to bad naming convention, and they didn't do a great job selling it as a different system. But the DS on top of that had a new gimmick, which was touch control. And I think that's what led it to be innovative and interesting. And Nintendo is the premier handheld like market innovator and continue to be.
I wouldn't even say that, like, I would actually correct Reggie on this, because I would say Game Boy, they link Game Boy and Game Boy Color together, which is totally fine by me. It's basically the same games. Like, it's almost like the Game Boy and the new Game Boy, if you will, with as far as the DS naming convention goes. But from 89 to 98, 118 million units between just the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. Okay. Then moving into Game Boy Advance, 81 million units. Am I seeing
So
that
successful, but still a slump.
All right. You know what they need to do? They need it for the Switch 2. They need to make it 4K gaming. They need it to be farming crypto and sell Mario Kart 9 at launch.
NFTs.
And NFTs. That is gonna sell so much. That's all you need to do. Nintendo, hire me.
Make me famous.
Make me famous. Oh, that reminds me. You can follow me at John Ebo on TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube.
So, I mean, yeah, from 118 million to 84, it's like what, right around 20 million. It's less than that, but or 81, I'm sorry. So it's close. It's like 17 million or something like that, or 27. What is it?
That's
20?
hard. We don't have Johnny. Well, Johnny's
40.
the accountant.
No,
Johnny.
No. It's 40 million. It's like 40 million units, which, I mean, don't get me wrong. That's a lot. But that's still great numbers. I mean, the PlayStation 3 and the 360 did 87 and then 84 million. So as far as
and they had a super long life cycle too.
Yeah. So, and then the jump from the Advance to the DS is 154 million units. It almost surpassed the PS2. Like, less than a million units. It's 154.02.
And that's a differentiation on those numbers from. So that's DS Lite, DSi, and is that where it stops? And then 3DS is separate,
3DS
right?
is a different, it's a different SKU, and 3DS is sitting at, hang on, the chart I'm looking at has
and that includes the Wedge, the regular 2DS, the 3DS XL, 2DS XL.
75 million units. Yeah. So, I mean, again, it's half. That's half of what the
and
DS...
it was expensive at launch. The 3DS was expensive at launch.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
I mean, that's what turned me off. I mean, it was a cool kind of gimmicky thing, but I didn't get on the the train for that right away.
Wish
That's
I
what
had just for
Reggie
the ambassador, but
Reggie
yeah.
talked about that in his book, is that it wanted to be 250, 249, 99. And Reggie said, no, that's a bad idea. And they brought it down to 200, and that was the ambassador program.
Mhm. Which, Johnny, you still have that 3DS, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have that one. I have the XL, just the new 3DS, 3DS Lite.
Perfect. Okay, great.
Yeah. It
Great.
wasn't even a 3DS Lite, but I made one on my own.
But what does the Switch have to do? What does the successor to the Switch have to do? Do you guys think? Like, what and I mean, we're 5 years in.
Of a quote unquote 10-year life cycle.
But I mean, the 10-year life cycle of the Game Boy turned into
Game Boy Color.
Game Boy Color, which you couldn't play Game Boy Color games on
an OG.
On the OG. You could play the DX games or whatever they were. I think that's what they were, like a black cartridge, and they would have color, and you could play them in the OG system. I'm pretty sure, based on the shape, but the strictly Game Boy Color games, not the case.
Obviously, the first thing you have to do is make it backwards compatible, right? Otherwise, you're losing a bunch of Switch owners who, are going to buy the Switch 2 or whatever they're going to call it. And you won't be able to play Breath of the Wild on the new Switch. I don't think Nintendo's going to do that.
I never know when to jump back in right now. Like,
Wait, hold on. I'm still talking.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm finished.
Okay, good. Good. I didn't know if you had any hot takes.
No, I do have a hot take.
Okay.
Hot take. Here, we'll get you.
Hang on.
Here you go.
You got it? Okay.
What was my hot take? I don't know.
Backwards compatibility.
Oh yeah, backwards compatibility. Yeah. Backwards
digital
compatibility.
library. You have a digital library. So
digital
you gotta
library.
think about that. Yeah.
Yeah. The hot take is that the Switch 2 should not have physical games. It should only be digital. There's no reason for us to have physical games anymore. It's just taking up too much space.
Okay.
It gets me flustered.
Okay. You're gonna have to take a rest after this. It's gonna be okay.
I took a nap. I took a nap earlier and I felt great. I have so much energy right now.
Perfect. Okay. I love it. Okay. So backwards compatibility is key. There's no question there, right? Like, there's been few since Nintendo left the 64 to the GameCube, obviously not backwards compatible, right?
Mhm.
NES to SNES, not backwards compatible. SNES to 64, not backwards compatible. Like, that was just the name of the game. That's what they did.
But everything GameCube forward has been, right?
Well, yeah.
Well,
Wii could play GameCube.
with the exception
Wii,
of Switch. I guess Switch.
and then Switch. But I mean,
yeah.
let's be honest. Most
Switch
of the
is doing
Wii U title
Switch is doing all right, and it's got backwards. Yeah, you're right. It's got backwards compatibility, but you're paying $60 for it.
Yeah,
per game.
Exactly. So, yeah. So that's gonna. I mean, but we live in a digital era now. I mean, how many games have people bought digitally? I know Johnny just had his hot take on digital games, but like, this is that's the thing that has to be. It has to be there. It needs to have a secondary slot, or I mean, the DS and the 3DS games had one variant in there. You could put them both in the same slot. There was just the little like nub on the side of the 3DS games, right? So they don't have to even make a second slot if they want to do similar physical games. I mean, there's no reason that they couldn't do that and keep And again, it could switch over, but they say we're halfway into this. So is that really going to be the case? Are we going to see? I find what's interesting with the narrative of Nintendo news and rumors and everything, like nobody's really been like, I don't feel like anybody's really been that accurate. Like, yeah, we knew that the OLED was coming out, but everybody speculated that it was going to be a Pro, not just an OLED, right?
Mhm.
And then
Wishful thinking.
yeah, and then the Lite was supposed to be the Pro, and that was the 2DS of the Switch, you know? And so and then there are people that believe that, you know, it's Nintendo pivoting, like the OLED was supposed to be more, but they couldn't get the chip, so then we just got the same. I don't know if that's the case. You know, I don't
I
know
mean,
it
they've been selling units. I mean,
exactly.
it's not hurting them.
Exactly. It's not hurting them at all. And I mean, it. I just know that there are people. I mean, there are people buying the system for the first time now, right? It's not like these are all just going into to previous Switch owners' hands, and
Mhm.
so there has to be good communication if they're gonna put something else out here too. And I can't, just like Mario Kart selling so well and they're continued, like now they're adding. I don't know why, as profit margins increase with this console, they're not competing with Xbox and PlayStation. They don't have to. And if they can sell something at incredible profit margins, what investors aren't going to be happy about that? And we still get decent games. I mean,
Mhm.
you
Well,
know,
and Xbox has said they're not competing with Sony and Nintendo either. They're competing with Apple and Amazon and Netflix, and they're in the subscription game.
Okay, all right. So, do you think that maybe Switch 2 is going to be backwards compatible, but it will just be console only, and that way they have a more powerful hardware? So you have your Switch that you can take on the go with you, but then you have your console that you play at home on your TV.
So you're saying it's going to be a dock upgrade?
Yeah.
could be that could be the case. Brian from the chat says, "Is current hardware really holding back game devs right now? I mean, the hardware is selling, so no need to bring out new hardware. The power of the system is there. Uh, no need for new hardware." And I mean, for Nintendo games, like for especially for first party, I mean, look at games like Mario Kart and Odyssey and Luigi's Mansion, especially like first party Nintendo stuff. They know how to squeeze the juice out of it, right? But then you put on something like Doom or Doom 2 and that kind of thing, and all of a sudden we're looking at like kind of a muddy mess, right? But again, I think if you're interested in playing those AAA titles, you're probably not just owning a Switch at that point. Like I don't like, I mean, I understand I'm glad that there is the option for cloud. There is the option to play some of these games even at a lower resolution. I bought the show just out of convenience to not have to take my Xbox with me, and played Home Run Derby with my dad. Do you think he said one thing about the graphics? No. He was just like, Home Run Derby, let's do it. Like he would just, that's all he said. Home Run Derby, let's go. Let's go, you know. And then my brother-in-law got involved too. So we were doing like eight people in this Home Run Derby with the three of us just passing controllers around, which I do have some opinions on that. They could at least show you which controller you're using when you go up to bat, because they don't. And so you're like, am I one or two right now? We're scrambling, uh but I mean, you know, you can still play the games. And so
I mean, that being said, I think the port everything to Switch like parade has died down a little bit.
oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason for that at this point. I mean, I understand, like, there's a lot of just the Switch is the only console in the house, and I get that, but like we've seen some sacrifices made trying to get the games on the Switch. It doesn't work. You look at the wrestling game, other games,
Kingdom Hearts with Cloud is not great.
pretty rough. Yeah. Yeah, and so with that being the case, like we just it's the Switch doesn't, I don't know that it needs it. I mean, and the way that Nintendo's first party software is going, like I was pulling up Japanese charts before we started the show. The top 10 game sales are all Switch in Japan from last week, with Switch Sports leading the way. Like leading the way. I'm like to be perfectly honest, I think I'm going to be eating I may be eating crow on talking about Switch Sports, because that game may end up selling
It's selling
like,
20 mil. 20 mil easily.
Go ahead.
20 million units. Switch Sports is selling 20 million units. You heard it here first. It's huge. Switch Sports is great.
What's the bet?
What's the bet? All right. Here's the bet. The bet is if it doesn't sell over 20 million, I will do a bikini photo shoot. Me, Johnny Ebo, will do a bikini photo shoot if it doesn't sell over 20 mil in the first fiscal year.
Okay. Cheesy's going to take that bet, and he's going to pick out your bikini. Just want to throw that out there too.
Yeah, no, he can, because I'm not going to lose.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I mean, I pulled up the sales numbers again. I think these are the most March 31st. Smash is at 28.17 million. Do we think it can potentially jump into top 3? Smash is third right now.
With all that nostalgia? Yeah. I mean, there's so many people that are going back and living what it was like to play, Wii Sports Resort, and now they have it on the Switch. It's on the go. The OLED, you could play the OLED on tabletop mode, and that kickstand is great. I have one. So it's fun for the whole family. It's not as great. It's not as great as, Wii Sports Resort, but I think over time it will get better.
Fair. But as far as the Smash numbers, Crawler, I don't know, because there's no marketing behind that game anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Other than like they keep doing these tournaments. But I don't know if you saw today, but the whole Panda Global thing where Nintendo was going to sponsor.
Did that fall through?
Yeah. It like
What happened?
in very like the opacity was turned way down, and it was fine print, but said Nintendo is not a sponsor of these events.
What?
Well, and they had like they had like, I thought, gone into a partnership.
Do you know how I saw this tweet?
How?
Nintendo retweeted it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I am assuming because of Melee, Nintendo, like my gut feeling on this, and we can get into it more in the Smash. It'll give us a good topic for the Smash Bros. Cast, but my gut feeling is NOA was all for this and ready to really.
Japan is not,
and I don't think Japan. I don't think Japan is there. Like, it's mind boggling to me, because I believe that Panda Global, that tournament is $100,000. I think it's the biggest Smash tournament we've ever seen.
and they care about the game. They're
Exactly.
good stewards of the game.
Yeah.
So it's not somebody gonna defile what Nintendo had. Like, I don't know. They just don't like giving up any kind of control. Even if they're involved, they should have enough control to be comfortable. But I don't know.
Well, that was something that Reggie talked about too recently, was the online, and just how Nintendo of Japan is just behind. They always wanted to do more in America, but
they're living in the couch co-op stage still.
Yeah.
I mean, so getting back to Switch Sport, I mean, I got a emailed survey today, and I figured it would be good cannon fodder for talking about tonight. So I took the survey, and it was all about Switch Sports, and it was who's in my house, who's playing it, did I buy a Switch for that game? Like, I think they are banking on Switch Sports moving consoles to have people buy it and play it. It asked if I had bought it digitally or physically. It didn't have an option for me to tell them I bought it both. And after the question that prompted after I said I bought it physically was, did I know it was cheaper if I bought it digitally? And I was like, the answer I gave was like, yes, I bought it both. You didn't give me an option to tell you I did. But I mean, the whole thing was about what keeps you playing. I found it kind of interesting that it didn't pop up until like the very end of like the cosmetics and the weekly stuff. Like, I would have told them that is what's keeping me logging in, is the new weekly cosmetics and stuff that they have popping up is what's keeping me playing that game. But I mean, I think there was one opportunity for me to say that, and that was kind of it. But they're definitely paying attention. They didn't ask me if I wanted to spend $50 on WarioWare, but they're tuned into what Switch Sports is doing for their platform, and potentially moving platforms or like hardware so that people can play it.
Yeah, did you guys see the developers questionnaire? You could play. They thought about like making robot characters. Did you see those? Yeah, so there were different.
It did ask if I played as a me or if one of the sports characters or whatever.
Yeah, they were testing around different types of characters, and one of them was like a robot with a like a hamburger suit. The other one had like was a cat. You know, Bowl is a cat.
Fortnite of Switch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump back. To the Reggie interview here, and again, he talks about the GBA stuff like that, and then it says, however, Reggie did reflect on previous comments that Nintendo has made on the life cycle of the Switch, but that's just because the company still has a ways to go and still needs to think ahead. There's so many typos on this Nintendo Life article that it's kind of blowing my mind. I'm very surprised. Like,
Grammarly should fix a lot of
there's a lot. It's kind of crazy, honestly. So this is the quote. It says, specific to Nintendo and Nintendo Switch, the company has also said that in their view, the Switch is still somewhat halfway through its life cycle. So if that's true, the company needs to be thinking about what it's going to do over the next 4 or 5 years or so to continue the core business momentum for the Switch. That's job one. And then job two is following the heels of that. To be thinking on what's next and what the future holds is quite a heavy lift to be done. I believe that first and foremost, you need to be thinking about the content and what's going to be the content pipeline to keep players engaged. I do think you have to look at the history and what are some of the historical tactics that have worked to maintain life cycles of a particular generation. And that includes everything from mid-cycle upgrades to looking at how you think about pricing and value. There are a number of different tactics that you can play, but fundamentally the content pipeline needs to be there. And that's been the strength. I'm just going off script or whatever. That's been the strength of the Switch, was the content pipeline at the beginning. They said, we are going into this thing without the help of third parties because we haven't had them since the Wii, and we are going to make this run. We're going to basically stop creating DS and 3DS games and eventually pool all of our resources to focus on this one console. And they did such an incredible job, and then a handful of third parties jumped on as well, that now where we're sitting, it's kind of like, man, are we in a little bit of a slump? You know? Like, and I had Ace reached out to me, and he's like wondering about like, hey, a lot of times games like dev cycles are like around 5 years, and the Switch is being 5 years old. Like, do you think there's going to be a plethora of games coming out here very soon? And that may be the case, but we're not hearing much, right? I mean, I shouldn't say we're not hearing much, but like we're not hearing like Breath of the Wild being delayed. And again, delays are a factor. If Breath of the Wild hadn't been delayed, this conversation would be different. You guys wouldn't have eaten a chip, and 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 we'd have that big hype game for the year. But as of right now, two of the major game players, the Xbox and Nintendo, their main holiday games have both been delayed, right? And I think
and PlayStation, who knows if Ragnarok's going to make it this year? It's like they keep saying it's on task, but like that's what they were saying about Starfield, and that's what they were saying about Breath of the Wild, and look where we are.
Exactly. So the content pipeline is I mean, he's right on the money with this. So I'll continue. It says, I continue to be very active in this industry. I'm active from an investor perspective. I'm active as an advisor. And I think that being aware of demographic changes, being aware of geographic opportunities, being aware of how technology is continuing to evolve, these are all things a company like Nintendo needs to be thinking about in order to successfully launch the system after Switch. Here's an interesting thought. We've recently seen the launch of the Stream Deck, or the Steam Deck, right? And people seem to be liking it, but I don't see a ton of buzz about this thing. Now, maybe I'm not following the right circles or whatever on Twitter. I don't know. But it's not getting the hype that the Switch did.
It's not the first party games. It doesn't have like exclusives.
And user friendliness is not high up on that in its wheelhouse. Like it runs on a different OS. If you want to have certain stuff, you have to like launch a different. You have to pretty much be familiar enough with kind of Linux and some of the other programs to do it. But like, there's also developers that are handcuffing that system as well. Like, I think accounts are being locked if you try to do the workaround to launch Destiny or something like that, because it doesn't have great ability to have anti-cheat on there. So what people wanted to having a true mobile system with multiplayer on some of their games that they play on their computer isn't quite there. And so it's great. It has some cool features, and you can play a lot of your Steam Deck or your Steam library on it. And I think there is workarounds to get Game Pass and other stuff working on it, but it can be a little limited. And then you also have just the pick up and play ease of access in comparison with the Switch that children can use. And so I think and price point, it's expensive to have a Steam Deck.
I think the next, and it's just my my take, Nintendo's next play is they've got the library, right? Now, obviously they know the numbers. So maybe Smash is still selling very well. We have no idea, right? We have kind of an idea, but like, I don't think there was a massive
28.17.
I don't think there was a massive jump though from.
No, I don't think so.
And so that being said, I think Nintendo's next big play isn't necessarily more software, although that's great for all of us that are all in and hardcore, right? But the next play is like the player's choice, where with Smash, I don't think it's player's choice. I think it's a $60 offering with all the DLC, like I don't know, what do you call it? The Ultimate Smash Bros. Ultimate? Like that sounds like some Nintendo naming, right?
Ultimate
Like
Plus.
Ultimate Plus, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but where it includes all the DLC and, you know, new box art or whatever.
Yeah, that'll get us to buy it again because we're stupid.
Because they'll do a steelbook and
I'll
probably a
buy
new
2.
controller, right? I know you will. I know you will, Johnny. And yeah, so I mean, it's
what player's choice is one thing. Do you go for the jugular and try to catch PS2 at this point and slash costs for the price point for the Switch and get more people in the ecosystem?
Well, they
Like,
say that they say that it's a 5-year. The Switch still has half its life left, right? So
Mhm.
could they still be making Switch games and then games for this new console? Kind
just
of
gotta
going
wait.
back to the DS and Wii days, you know, just when they
We
had
just
a
gotta wait for
handheld and a console.
just the next Kirby game. And then that signals the end. That's all we gotta wait for.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't think Nintendo leaves if they're smart, they don't leave, they just keep upgrading this tablet.
That's the smart play. I mean, but Nintendo likes to go to the beat of their own drum.
They do, but I mean, when you have something as wildly successful as this, when I mean the gimmick of the Switch works and it works for the gamer, whereas the Wii didn't really work for the gamer, it worked for the casual.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The Switch isn't being bought by everybody's grandparents.
Yeah, and Wii games, I mean, Wii games are not aging that well when you have to only use the Wiimote.
For sure.
The Wii menu is annoying that you have to have a sensor bar up to use. So like if I'm in my Wii U and I go to Wii menu, you can't just tab around with a joystick. It's point and click.
Yep.
And it was great when everyone had good Wiimotes sitting around. I want to be able to, like, that's I think one of the greatest features of the Mario 3D All Stars is that Galaxy is playable with a controller, and it works. Even
Right.
even with the motion tracking in the Pro controller or the Joy-Con, it just works. And the Wii, I think, is fondly remembered, but going back to it, and like I played Strikers Charged a few weeks ago in preparation for new Strikers coming out, and it's frustrating that you have to use. There's so many different control options for Wii, but it's handcuffed by this one primary mode that has to be utilized in menus and to get to the certain points. Everything goes through the Wii mode because even the other options have to plug in with the stupid what is it? It's a USB U or something like that. It's some kind of weird USB connector. It's what they used in the
The Motion Plus.
no. It's the same port as the classic the mini systems. That same port on the bottom of the controller. For
You
your
didn't
Pro
like
control.
playing Skyward Sword with motion controls?
I turned that off after the balance beam stuff. I was like, nope.
Sounds like to me you need to get good.
Yep, I do.
Oh, Johnny on point tonight. I don't know that Nintendo's even looking at the PS2 and looking at that number and really even caring, right?
Mhm.
They're going to be looking at profits now.
That's fanboys care about that number. That's kind of it.
For sure. But to your point, the Switch becomes profitable every day that it more profitable every day that it ages, right?
Mhm.
Because it was profitable out the door. Now it's only the console's only getting more and more profitable as the parts. Well, we're also in
a drought of silicon. Right now.
Exactly. So that could be a factor to it, right? We don't know. We're just dudes with microphones, right? But
Yeah.
But
Well, and they
if the
also
world was
they also can't gamble because they had the 3DS line to fall back on when they gambled with Wii U, and they've put their eggs in one basket now, and they can't afford if they fail as hard as they failed with Wii U, they don't have a safety net to fall into, and investors are gonna start losing their mind.
the other factor here, you guys remember the PS4 and the Xbox One, they were delayed because of economic reasons. So they ended up being old consoles. There's so much talks about another recession and with the housing market and all that other stuff that I know it sounds weird to talk about it on a gaming show, but it affects everything.
Yeah, if we're in a
And
recession and people don't have disposable income, they're not buying games.
but if you're the Switch, if you still have the Switch, or the Switch is still the affordable option, but if we hit a recession and the Switch 2 were to launch, and I know it's not coming out, but like that's going to be detrimental to that system. One, it's going to be it's not going to leave the shelves the way they would want it to. But then we know, I mean, look at the PlayStation 5 right now. It's still impossible to get. You can't walk into the store and get it. The Series S is about the only thing in the Switch, or about the only things you can walk in and get these days. I think the X is becoming a little more available, but that's a factor in all of this too. That they have to. I mean, obviously nobody can plan for it, but as they watch the news like the rest of us, they got to be going, okay, this might be our time to go, hey, here's player's choice. We're going to cut the price on some stuff, and they can still, I mean, at this point, like I'm pretty sure the way a lot of these things work, based on the stuff we've especially seen from Sony, like, you know, certain games don't, like, what was that zombie game that didn't do well, and like
Zombie U.
no, on Sony, that Star Killer played the main role in, has the massive hordes of zombies running around, and it was from like one of their most well-known, like a very
Days Gone.
it might be Days Gone.
The one that
The guy
Eric liked.
the guys on the motorcycle
Yeah, Days
all
Gone.
the time.
But
Yeah,
it did not do well in the review window
but
from
the
a lot of outlets.
numbers were similar to like Ghost of Tsushima or whatever. But yet Ghost was praised, and Days
Because
Gone,
it got reviewed higher than
right, but the numbers were still the same. So my gut feeling is that they look at the overall projections of what they think the numbers are going to be on these games. If they surpass that, I mean, we know that Animal Crossing, they were hoping to sell 10 million.
second best selling game on Switch, almost first.
Exactly. And so now everything else from those games is gravy, right? So even to come in and say, hey, let's do a player's choice where we knock $20 off, it's why we see often, it's like we see often on the eShop, like all these indie games for $1, because at least it gets them in front of everybody and gets more people playing them. And then, you know, they hit
the top charts for sales, or at least popular.
Well, and what's crazy is Nintendo could say player's choice is $50, because that's still $20 less than a PS5
Yep.
game.
All they need is themes, some music, some me's hanging out in the lobby. Street Pass.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
Street Pass? Why is that
Yeah.
not on the Switch?
Yeah, it's a great question. Go ahead, tell us about Street Pass.
Street Pass was amazing, and it had so many good games on it. And Nintendo, you should bring it to Switch. I heard Switch 2, Street Pass. All of us can get together, hang out, have a barbecue,
Rooftop
bring
party.
our Switches with us,
Rooftop party.
rooftop party,
There you go.
and it'll be a good time. That's all they need. Games, themes, music, good online, Mario Kart 9, And Metroid Dread 2.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay, there we go. That's you've solved all their problems. So, yeah, it again. There's so many factors. There's so many factors on when we will see this successor to the Switch. I think it's still a ways out. I think I honestly I feel like we're at the calm before the storm. I feel like the E3 time, Nintendo could still like knock our socks off, or this year may be planned out. We may be good to go. Maybe Advance Wars gets pushed all the way to Christmas.
Well, we're probably getting a Zelda game, right? Because we haven't gotten a Zelda game this year.
Very likely.
So like Wind Waker, Twilight Princess,
the Minish Cap remake that's going to look like
yeah.
that's going to look like Link's Awakening. I don't know.
We're still waiting on Pikmin 4, Metroid Prime 4, anything with a 4, really. We just
Bayonetta 3,
Bayonetta 3 and 4. Where are they?
That's a good question. That's a good question. So, well, I think that is going to do it for this episode of NPC. If you're here with us live, thank you so much for hanging out. If you're listening to this after the fact, you guys are amazing and we appreciate you so much. We do want to let you know that there is going to be a Patreon getting set up very, very soon, and you're going to get exclusive kind of off the rails NPC behind the scenes / after show, after dark. Yeah, not going to be something you want to listen to around your kids, but you will laugh. And we've already started to build that library. So the Patreon will be launching next week, and we'll get you guys more information there. So thanks for everything. And Johnny, thanks for making an appearance. And we do wish Cheesy the best. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everybody.